usual, Alihia. Today I'm with Linda Wang, who's an actress and producer, and we're going to talk about the projects she's worked on and a little bit about her background. So I want to start off by asking, how did you get into film?
Well, funny enough, I actually started by getting laid off from my job. So you never know, some good things can come from it. I was working as an accounting assistant from somewhere, got laid off. I ended up jumping into banquet serving because I've always been in the restaurant industry, which I love. And I sort of just met a couple of people. Somebody had this great acting class she recommended, and it was my first Hollywood acting class, and some amazing people in that class. And then also, while I was an accounting assistant, I would also go on Craigslist, as I mentioned earlier, and just kind of look for jobs. I would submit to music videos, I would submit to infomercials. I don't know, it was just something, I guess, maybe I was always curious about it, but, had to build the courage to it until I got, laid off, and then it just kind of happened to me, which is how it started.
Yeah. So do you remember your first job, what it was?
Okay, on Craigslist, it was a music video called Zebra Head, and when I submitted for it, it's because they were looking for like a samurai girl, and when I grew up watching a lot of martial arts, like Chinese martial art films, a lot of horror because my mother loved horror, and then AMC classics, and that really, from back then, I would say I loved watching those. I loved the emotion that people get. I love the singing and the dancing. It's just so talented and it's so moving. So. But, I did study psychology growing up, thinking I'd be a therapist, which not yet, one day. But, it all kind of led me to where I am now. And so Zebra had that samurai girl. I had the outfit for her that my friend gave me. It was so much fun.
That was you?
Yes, that was me.
Okay, so that's just something you told me where, the martial arts is something that tends to come up in your movies, and psychology is very related to acting. What are some of the credits that you got to use those skills?
Let's see. Well, I started my first, I was in this thing called Repo Job, and that's when I really first learned choreography and also how to produce, because I just sort of produced out of necessity. It was this one guy named Dino Vicencio who wrote and directed and did the stunt choreography and then edited all of it. And I really learned a lot on that film. And we did before that he did a couple of these short things, and that's when I realized how much I love just, I don't know what it is, it's just maybe I'm Asian and that's what it is. But I love moving around. I'm sorry, what was the question?
No, you're good. You're good. Like, what were some of those martial arts, training and stuff you got to use?
Yes, so I think Repo Job was one of them, and I've done some a Western. I've done called a American Western. I've worked on remember it. If you go on IMDb, almost all of my credits will have some sort of action involved, even if it's not. You would never think. I just worked on this project where I play a student, and I'm trying to get my green card. It's a bunch of students, and trying to get our green cards. And even in that, they threw in a little fight scene for me. Mm-hmm. So I think when they know you like doing it, they will write something in for you.
Yeah. I was going to ask you if you have a favorite, genre to do. Is it action or is there another?
It's action, horror, comedy. All three of those in one would probably be something that I would love to write and direct one day.
And you produce and you're an actor, but I know you also kind of work behind the scenes in other departments, right? Mm-hmm. What other kind of things do you do for your film?
Set design, that's sort of the first thing I started with. And I mean, really just producing out of necessity, so I just do everything. I've done craft services, I've done hair, I've done makeup, I've done special effects for, bullet wounds and things like that. I have held the boom, and that job, it requires a lot of muscles. The only thing I haven't done really yet is DP. I have held camera and I worked on, over the pandemic, a couple of friends of mine, co-workers and students, we worked on this movie called Victoria Manor, and it was a short film that my first co-writing and also directing experience, and we love doing a little bit of literally everything. I like art department.
So I know you have a film called Repo, right? Is that correct?
Repo Girl, yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about that project?
Well, sadly, like a lot of projects, that one didn't quite get finished 100%, but it was just a story about a girl who is from the military, and she gets a job as a repo person, and then she just runs into two wrong people, and then like a chase and everything ensues.
So do projects like that teach you anything? Like, is there a place you feel most comfortable, either being an actress, being like, behind the camera?
I think every project you work on, it's going to benefit you in lots of ways, because you learn how to meet different people, you learn new skill sets. For sure, like I just did this project for AFI thesis film called Night Feeds. Beautiful film. And I was the scenic painter / carpenter swing, and it's just something I've never done. I painted before, but I was like, all right, I'll do it. And I mean, I can't wait for that to come out. Like, so everything you do helps.
What has been the greatest challenge you've ever had on a film?
Sometimes I think challenging for me is when I have nothing to do. So I like having, a role, and also, cast and crew. Those are the two things I love doing together. So it's more like sitting around being like, what can I do next?
Yeah.
Maybe because I'm an Aries and I just need to run.
So you're also a writer, right?
I'm not a writer. I have co-written. I think I'm a collaborative artist is where I would say I'm.
That makes you a writer. You wrote a short, right?
Yes, and it was really funny, and we did it in a week, and there's a longer story, which I'll tell you when we have a little bit more time about that story. But we shot it, we were like, you know what, we actually had hired people, like a DP, we were going to do this. It didn't work out, so we're like, forget it, let's just scratch this, but let's just write something else, inspired by the things that happened to us while we had to scratch the project. And then we're like, we're not going to pay for anybody. I have a camera. My friend has a camera. We're just going to shoot this and do it all ourselves. And, and I loved it. We submitted it to film festivals. It won in writing for a comedy. And then one of the actresses, Jennifer Blanco, she got nominated for Best Actress. So, it was very satisfying.
The one that you wrote?
Uh-huh.
There you go. So you won an award for it. She still doesn't.
Well, I studied at Leslie Kahn, and we learned about comedy, and there's like these 3 rules of comedy, and so so she's great place to study.
What are they?
Well, it's 3s. Like you just always do everything in thirds.
Oh, the thirds. Like if it's the 4th, it's not funny anymore.
Yeah.
Oh, I see the rule of 3. Okay.
You bring it back.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, okay.
And then so much more.
Okay. You also studied psychology, so I want to know what's the crossover into acting for that.
I would say, it's just the study of human behavior. It's like understanding people's motivation, and at the end of it all, for me, I think it has to do with like just like empathy, like being able to sit in somebody else's shoe and feel how they may feel. Because like it's so easy to be so judgmental about all kinds of stuff. I like to just be sort of I wouldn't even say I'm in the middle. I just like to see everything. So, I guess it's sort of like knowing that you never know what your life is going to be like or what somebody else's life is going to be like until you're in their shoe, and also just being in their shoe with whatever experiences that, you have, that you bring into the role as well. Like if I work on a project and there's no backstory, I tend to keep the same backstory. Like my father passed away when I was 10. And so I always have that as like a motivational, behind everything that I do. So if I'm not given a backstory, if I'm given one, then I'll use theirs. So I really feel like just being able to learn how to access emotion by watching and observing and feeling. This is what I love about storytelling, is it's very cathartic. Old Yeller was one of those movies I watched, just bawling and made me cry. It's about a dog.
Yeah, it's always the dog ones. So. Yeah. So are there projects that you're more drawn to based on the subject matter of like them having a message? Is there stuff that you turn down because you don't agree with it?
I guess at this point, not necessarily. I like to try everything. I'm not that seasoned. I've been doing a lot of things, but I like roles that are going to be more like I get to play the villain. Or if you're a good guy, you're like the unassuming, the unassuming hero. Somebody who's kind of, who's gone through life, so that kind of comes out. but really, friends projects. I just helped my friend Dawn Church. She is incredible. You should interview her next. She managed to get its passion project. Got all these Emmy award nominating people who helped direct, DP, like people who've been on these big projects. We just shot it over the weekend. It's gonna be so funny. It's called Business People. Looking forward to that as well. So I will do anything. I was just a PA on that set. So
yeah. Do you tend to work with the same people over and over again?
Yes, and also I do a lot of things. So my circle has gotten bigger and bigger. Like Ling is, I met her on another project before. We worked on first. Actually, we met through somebody else, and I helped with her multicultural festival. And then from that, we worked on some other movie, and then she invited me to this, and then. Now I'm gonna meet you. I'm sure I'll find you on set one day.
Hopefully.
Well, we'll work on something together. Yeah. I'll make it happen.
Yeah, especially, so I assume maybe you work locally a lot, right?
Yes, although my first feature I'm really excited about is, it's in Atlanta. It's called Text M for Murder by director Mark Harris and also producer, my bestie, Zora. Super excited about that film. I'll be flying in Atlanta. I have a part as an internal affairs officer, and then I'll be peeing on set for 5 out of the 10 days.
That's amazing. You're behind the scenes and in front of the camera. Okay. So, lastly, I want to ask you if you have any advice for anyone that wants to be an actor or be well seasoned in terms of, getting to do a little bit of everything on set.
My advice really is just to do it. I mean, I know it sounds so basic, but it's true. And get on anything. Work on crew, because crew is really going to help you develop like the skills that you need to make you a better actor. Like knowing when you should be looking at the camera, learning how to find your light, knowing when you need to speak up, when to slow down, knowing how to help the editor, and keeping your frame and your shots on screen. And also just meeting people, because when you're PAing and you're just yourself, that's when people love you the most. And then they're like, oh, you're an actor, and you're like, oh yeah, and then we'll come on and do this and do that. I would say, just that. And then always, to me, if you're as an actor, write a backstory for yourself, and fill everything up, and take classes, I think.
Oh, that's really good advice. Okay. So lastly, thank you so much for being here, Linda. It was really great to know about you. I want to ask you if you can plug your socials for us.
I just have an Instagram. It's Linda S. Wang. And I'm on LinkedIn, but that's like for the other Linda Wang thing.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Yeah. IMDb are your credits.
IMDb, yeah, it's Linda S. Wang on IMDb.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
No, thank you.
And all you beautiful ladies back there.
Thank you for all your crew, and thank you to everyone at My TV for watching. Stick around for more, okay?